Welcome to Podnutz Computer Repair Podcast, episode number 131. I am Jeff Halash. This is our live call-in show for computer repair techs. We bring you tips and ideas for your IT business. The call-in number is 1-888-697-0162. Let me introduce the co-hosts. We have Chris Carruthers from the Remote Support Tech team. How you doing, Chris?
I'm doing great, Jeff. How are you?
I am doing excellent. Glad to be here. Also joining us today, we have the illustrious Matt Rainey from Podnutz Pro and InformedIT.net. How you doing, Matt?
I am operating within established parameters, Jeff. Thank you.
That's awesome. Very cool. And also from the great West Coast, all the way where it's nice and warm probably, is the great Martin Obando from ObandoComputing.com. How you doing, Martin?
I'm doing well. I'm doing real good. Yeah, it's been warm here, and then it's going to start raining tomorrow. So you miss if you're coming out to Portland to enjoy the weather, you have about another 6 hours, and then it's going to drop 20 degrees and get wet. So.
Wow. Yeah, that doesn't sound like fun. Of course, that's kind of what's been going on around here today. So a little bit of rain, a little flooding in the street, but other than that, we're good. So, anyways, all right. So let me talk about a couple things, and we'll kind of get started here. One of the things we have coming up here towards the end of the month, we have Jetpack, which is a live show presented by Instant House Call, hosted by tech podcaster Jeff Halash. Oh, that's me. Meet fellow techs and business owners online. Learn real ways to grow your IT business. You'll also hear tales from the trenches. Learn sales and marketing tips you can actually use. Chat online during the show. After the show, sponsors will stream live product demos and invite you to an Ask Me Anything. There's going to be 4 shows, about 1 hour apiece, all online. The vendors that will be there is Channel Pro, CompTIA, Microsoft, Plan 27, Repair Tech, and the Virus Doctor. We're also going to do a live Jetpack meetup at the CompTIA ChannelCon in Chicago. Details are coming soon. By the time I post this in audio format on Thursday, we should have all the links for you guys to be able to sign up for that and check it out. Come one, come all. It is 100% free. All right, second item. We also have the CompTIA ChannelCon, August 3rd through the 5th, 2015, in Chicago. Chicago's close enough to me that I consider it here. Everyone is eligible for a free ticket to CompTIA/ChannelCon in Chicago, provided by Instant House Call. I will have a link in the show notes for that. You can go to last week's episode or the week before that, and the links are there. Go ahead and click on those and get your free ticket. That's going to provide you, if you're flying in, it's going to provide you transportation to and from the airport. It's going to provide most of your meals there on those days. And so, yeah, just come one, come all. The other thing that's going on is we have Lisa Hendrickson from Call That Girl is hosting a Podcaster Tech Nibble meetup Sunday, August 2nd at 5 to 7 p.m. at CompTIA ChannelCon in Chicago. Get a chance to mingle with the Podnutz Tech Nibble, Mike Tech Show, the Computer Business Podcast, and Tech Vets communities. I will have a link in the show notes to sign up for the meetup as soon as we get that information. All right. So with that being said, that's all the information we have for the things that are going on now. All right. So let's go ahead and Chris, why don't you talk about what you've been working on or learning in your business?
What I've been working on for the most part is our giant migration from GFI to Enable. So that's pretty much taken up all of my time for the next couple of weeks. Other than that, there's some new crypto-like infections that are popping up. The removal hasn't really changed, but it also means that the antivirus companies have to catch up. So that's pretty much been the week, explaining to people why they should have backups.
Again.
Again.
And again. So why don't you explain to everybody what Enable is?
Sure. So Enable is a remote monitoring system, which we actually have our server that hosts everything now. So it's all hosted by us. Anybody who's already familiar with GFI, it's pretty much like GFI, except it has a lot more features to it. Right down to the point where my favorite and the one that I've talked about the most is the remote registry editing, which has saved a lot of time just to be able to hit a button to get into the registry for somebody's computer. So it's if you want to provide somebody with managed antivirus, if you want to manage their computer for them, an RMM tool is something that you want, and this one is just a step above GFI in my opinion.
Yeah, it almost seemed to me like he just moved a couple of my customers over there. It seems like GFI on steroids. I actually like the interface, and the things that it does on the network is actually pretty amazing.
Yeah. Well, what was crazy is I have one client. He's got some customers on Active Directory, so we used Active Directory to push out the installation, and then I started getting alerts that 2 of their printers needed new toner. So yeah, there's a lot that you can monitor for your clients.
Well, I'll be interested to hear more about that as you keep rolling it out and seeing what's going on.
Yeah, absolutely.
Cool. All right, and let's see, Martin, what types of things have you been working on or learning in your business?
Well, as Chris was talking about moving people off to GFI, I've been moving a lot of people onto GFI. Deployed the MaxMail, which is their spam filtering.
Oh, cool.
One, and just tried it out with one client right now. She was receiving way too many spam. It would fill her inbox. She would receive about a spam message every minute to minute and a half.
Oh, wow.
And so we implemented that, and instantly 80% of the spam went away, because I have logs that show that 80% of her stuff was caught. So, so I started to implement more spam filtering, definitely do more managed antivirus, and I've been working on anything under the sun. It's all kind of come down my way to intrusions, to on the remote systems, to antivirus patches, fixes, something breaks. It's kind of you got a dartboard of problems, and take a dart and throw it at it, and I'll be covering it.
That's cool. Hey, now, are you traveling out a lot, or are you able to do a lot of that stuff remotely?
A lot of it's been traveling, but my geographically it's about 45 minutes is my most that I travel. I did do a couple trips a little farther than that, but those are already planned out product deployments. A whole new setup for a brand new client. But generally, if I can do as much as I can remotely, then it just saves time. And even yesterday, I have a new client that wants to come on board, and she's 6.5 hours away into California, and she says, if you can do it remotely, we'll do it. So we talked for the first time yesterday regarding another problem through another agency, but she has her own company, and she says, I need remote support, and I'd like to give it a try and have you work on it. So.
Oh, that's great. No, very cool. Awesome. So, and now you said the spam filtering, that's through GFI. They offer that.
They do offer that, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So great. It's same parent company, different product. It doesn't integrate into my Max Focus or the GFI dashboard for antivirus, for managed antivirus and patch management. It's a separate dashboard, but same parent company.
Okay. Well, definitely let us know how that works. I know there's a couple other people in the community that are working with that spam filtering to see if it's going to help the problems they're having. So definitely keep us abreast of what's going on there, and how well it works.
Yeah, no, I definitely will. I talk a lot, any of the new information that comes up or my success or failures with it, I usually mention on Geeksters, and we talk a lot about it through there as well.
Now, for those that don't know, but I'm sure everybody does, what is the Geeksters?
Geeksters is a show on the Podnutz Network. We meet weekly. Mitch Heyman, Tim Bauermeister, and myself get together, and we talk about anything under the sun. Sometimes we go into rants regarding SpinRite. Sometimes we talk about Windows 8. Usually the tagline that I've always talked about is, if it has a computer in it, at some point we're going to talk about it. And it's just us getting together, and we just laugh and have a good time, because we just kind of come together as friends. There's a little bit of a script, because we have topics I want to mention or they want to mention, but generally we just kind of go with the flow, and a lot of times we end up digressing and taking these rabbit trails down some weird and random, stuff where we end up having to pull ourselves back. But, we recorded yesterday at 6 a.m. and I think everybody showed up a little tired, but by the end of it, I think we were all laughing very hard, and I don't even remember why, but, somebody will say something, and Tim just, if you've never heard the show, Tim's laughter is pretty infectious, and it's very hard to. You got to turn your speakers down a little bit, but because he's a little loud. But man, his laugh if you don't smile when Tim's laughing, then you're cold-hearted.
Oh yeah, it's definitely an infectious laugh, that's for sure. So no, it's great. Yeah, and it's that's over on the Podnutz Network. You got the Geeksters, so definitely check that out and use your podcatcher to subscribe. They have, like they said, every week they come out with new content, and it's a fun show just to listen to and just kind of relax. And you guys definitely seem like you have a good time just hanging out.
Yeah.
Very cool. All right, so, and Mr. Matt Rainey, what types of things have you been working on or learning in your business since we last met, which seems like eons ago. I missed you, man.
It's been a while. It's been a while. One thing we're looking at, we're testing different solutions right now to move everything to the cloud. I don't want really any servers in-house anymore for clients. I'd rather have everything be off-site, managed, cloud-based solutions. So we're testing different things for that. We are in the process of moving a couple people to full cloud solutions, so no more servers in-house for them. We got some of those going on. We still have some nightmare traditional migrations. One of them has been going on for a year and a half.
Wow.
Yeah, not our fault. It's a funny story, but not our fault. Things like that, moving people to GFI as well. But mainly my main focus is to move people away from on-premises servers.
Okay. No, that's cool. No, you got to tell the story, because if it's a funny story, we got to hear it.
Okay.
Please don't make it last a year and a half, though.
Yeah. Hopefully I'll just cut out some of the parts. So it's a customer on Small Business Server 2003.
Oh.
So a year and a half ago, we sold them a new SBS 2011 server. Sold it to them. They bought it. Now they have one of their main applications. We said, okay, now we need to move this application off of your existing server. I like to move all the apps off first. So we had meetings with those people. When they first got this software, they had an existing network, and they put one piece here on this server, one piece on this server, one piece on this server. I said, in the meetings, I want all this consolidated to one server. So what do we need? You support them. You've installed all this stuff for them for this program. What do we need to consolidate to one server? So we went back and forth. We got a server for them. They approved the hardware as far as saying, yes, this will work. We ordered it, got it in, joined the domain, said, here you go. Now you, the client, schedule with the support to move the software to this server. They put it off for 6, 7, 8 months. Meanwhile, their existing O3 server crashes all the time.
Oh. Wow.
And they keep asking me, why is it crash? I say, well, this is the whole reason we sold you a new server, because that thing's 10 years old. It needs to be retired. Well, what do we need to do to retire it? Well, the first step was to move the software that we discussed 8 months ago. Did you schedule that with them yet? No, not yet. This went on for another few months. Finally, she schedules a migration, and I think it's like a year later, so this is like January of this year.
Oh, my gosh.
So they go do the migration and say, well, where's your sync server? So they call me, and I say, well, what are you talking about? Last year, here's all the emails. Here's what you said they needed. We got them that. Oh, we didn't know they had a sync server. Okay. Well, so what do we need? So we got what they needed. Another server, $5,000, SQL licensing, everything. Go over there, join it to the domain. It's done. Now they just scheduled that last week, so they move it. And the girl calls me and says, okay, that part's done. Can we start at the other section? I said, well, let's give it a few weeks before we start moving stuff. I want y'all to work with this, make sure it works. I don't want any confusion about what's breaking what. So she assured me everything was fine. I said, okay, well, then I'll schedule it for next week or so. The next day she calls me, nothing's working. Okay, what do you mean nothing's working? You mean the network or the program you told me it worked fine? This program. Okay. So we get them on the phone, and what's not working is the sync server. And when we realized nothing on the sync server was working, they said, oh, we didn't know you had a sync server.
Oh, gosh.
Okay, so the sync server you didn't know about last time that you told me had to buy, that we bought it, told you it was there, You did the migration, didn't migrate the sync part, and that's what you're saying you didn't know was there? I guess so, yes.
Oh my goodness. Can I have your
Okay.
physical location? Because I'm going to drive over there and actually smack you upside the head.
So we said, well, y'all need to fix this. Oh, that guy just went on vacation.
Oh my gosh.
Really?
Okay. Well, I mean, if you need anything from me, I told them, let me know. I mean, this is not our software. Y'all are implementing this. I told the client, if you need me to interpret, if you need me to, be in the middle, whatever you need, but they need to do this. So it's been a year and a half. They bought the server last January 14,
Wow.
and it has not been touched yet. Then they bought a main server to consolidate. Then they were told they need a sync service. It's been a year and a half, and it's not. I can't see it being done anytime soon.
So Matt, what is the moral of this story?
Third-party service support sucks.
You heard it from Matt Rainey, folks. It's awesome. Oh my gosh. All right, very cool. Wow. It's there's never a dull moment in computer repair, in IT support, in consulting, whatever. There is never a dull moment. There's always something new that you didn't think of that happens where you go, what? What is going on here? And that's the frustrating and fun part of the business, in my opinion.
Yeah, of course the client's upset, not at us, at them, because she was on the phone, and obviously when they said, we didn't know you had a sync server, you're the one who told us to buy it.
Right.
So yeah, that's pretty funny.
I think so. Is there any way that you could because it's their software is third party? There's nothing you can do to get. I mean, they have to support their own software, right?
Yeah, it's big, expensive software.
Gotcha.
They have their own support. The whole company, when they sell it, they manage it, they service it. We don't touch anything with that software. Most I do is open up ports in the router for it, and that's it.
Gotcha. Okay. Very good. All right. So after that, my lowly week. Now I had a call from a hair salon in the area. Called me up, and basically they couldn't get their cash drawers open, or they couldn't print out receipts. Which for a hair salon, you know how those are pretty busy. They were kind of panicking, and so he called and said, "Hey, can you come out here today?" And so happened that my schedule was open enough that I could actually head out there, so I did. And this guy that owns a company, he basically is, he builds his own machines and stuff, and he knows enough about computers and everything to be dangerous. And so he basically had, uninstalled the drivers for the printer and different things, and I had no idea how the POS system was set up with their software and stuff like this. So you're going into this blind, and you're going, okay, now what do I need to do? And so I'm looking at everything, kind of tracing things back. Well, the cash drawer has basically a network cable that goes into the printer. So basically, if Windows is not recognizing the receipt printer, it's not going to open the cash drawer. So, at first I thought they were separate things, but they're not. So basically, there was an error for the printer. It said, and I can't remember what the error codes were, but I'm looking at them. So I go into services.msc, and I look and see the printer spooler that's running. I see that receipt printer, so I start stopping the services. And long story short, I'm sitting there working with it for a little bit, and I'm like going, what in the world is going on here? So I said, we're not seeing the printer. And the way they have these set up is there's two computers. One computer is the computer one has the database for the software on it. So if computer 1 doesn't work properly, then computer 2, which logs in that same database, doesn't work properly. So in my opinion, just a poor setup. And they should have, even if they had a third computer that just served the database, kind of like some of the things that Martin's been working with these small computers and stuff. I think there's a lot of things that you could do for serving these types of things. But anyways, so I go in, and basically what I ended up doing after stopping the services, went back in, cleared some more things out, restarted the computer, and lo and behold, the receipt printer came up. So I'm thinking, because it's hard to tell. You've got USB hubs because you've got these all-in-one machines that they bought just recently, and this USB hub has 6-7 things plugged into it, and you're like going, okay, is the hub going bad, or is just ports on the hub going bad? So anyways, long story short, fixed the problem, Basically needed a restart. Cash drawer started opening. I had the ladies there test it, and it worked out fine. But it's those situations where you go in and you're kind of blind to how they had things set up. It can be nerve-wracking sometimes. But I went and did it, invoiced them, got paid immediately after that, and so I was happy.
Did those receipt printers, the printer itself that attached to the cash drawer, did it have a network adapter on it?
Yes.
Okay, those are the same. So I've seen these across the board because I have a client. It's a coffee shop, and they have 5 locations, and they're using Square as their cash register on iPads. And so as long as the iPad and the cash register are on, the iPad and the printer are on the same network, and they can talk, then that's how they control their. So when you go in, they type everything in, they flip the screen over, so then you get the screen. You can give them a tip, sign, hit go, and then it does all of prints a receipt and does a cash drawer if they're not, if you're using something other than a card. But it's this. I bet you it's the same setup because I was looking at another client who was going to be setting up a sales room, and they were looking at kind of POS systems, and I was interested to see that all of the cash drawers and receipt printers kind of worked either with QuickBooks or Square or all these different third-party places, but it was all tied into the into that receipt printer, and that cable from the receipt printer to the cash drawer is a proprietary cable, and I found the link to that because I thought, I'll just make one, but it's RJ45 on one end and RJ11 on another, and they do a twisted pair somewhere in the middle that's weird. So $9 on Amazon, I was able to get one for one of my clients.
Oh, that's a great tip because the first thing I looked at when I pulled these printers are pretty heavy when they're small. When I first pulled it up, I noticed that the cable was actually underneath the edge of it and it was crushed. So I'm like, that's the first thing I'm looking at. I'm like, oh crud, if that's not working right. But fortunately, those cables are pretty robust and there was nothing wrong with the cable. But the other thing was when I restarted the computer, it took like 5 minutes to load up, and these were bought back in last November, and they're Windows 8 machines, they're all-in-ones. It just took forever, and I'm like going, and I wasn't trying to upsell anything, but I told the customer, I said, really, I would love to schedule a time to come in, clean these things up, probably do it remotely, while everybody's not working. And I said, we might even think about replacing these USB hubs, maybe splitting them out a little bit so you don't have everything all in one, because I know USB hubs can be flaky sometimes, especially if you have too many things plugged into one USB port on a computer, and there's only 3 on the back of these all-in-ones. So, yeah, that's definitely one of those things where it was a fun learning experience. But anyways, they were back up and running, so we'll see if he calls and if they have any other problems down the road. Other than that, the only other thing I had this week that was another head scratcher is I had a machine come in, and basically I could log into the machine at first, but it wanted to do a check disk on the drive. It said, dirty volumes, yada yada. And so when I restarted the computer, it did the check disk. Well, it got stuck on drive C and just kept going and going and going and going, and finally came up to a point where it went to advanced settings. Now this is a Windows 8.1 laptop. It's like a few days old, or a few days less than a year old, and I basically I couldn't get anything to happen. I even pulled the drive and put it in my bench machine and ran check disk on there. I did SFC scan. All the different things that you do, and you could see the drive fine. I did an extended test on it. Drive was working, nothing wrong with the drive. And so basically put it back in the machine. There was no restore points. Don't know why that happened, but basically what I had to do was I went in and I did a refresh on the Windows 8.1 computer. The only problem with the refresh, just so you guys know, is that when you do a refresh, it kills most of the desktop apps. You basically have to go back in and reinstall the desktop apps, not the Microsoft App Store apps, but the desktop apps. So if you had Microsoft Office on there, or you had all your Java, all that stuff's gone. So it's almost like resetting up a computer, except a little quicker. You don't have to move files off, move files back on, even though I had made a backup of the drive anyways. And so I have no idea what was going on with that thing. But once I refreshed it, everything seems to be working fine, Wi-Fi and all that kind of stuff. So I'm thinking there was just some sort of corruption. Maybe it got shut down at the wrong time when it was doing an update or something and really hosed the system, which can happen, especially on laptops. All right. All right, let's answer some emails.
Woo.
All right, this is from Brandon Martin. That's interesting. Hey, it says the other day you guys were talking about physically cleaning a computer for sanitary reasons. What do you guys recommend for cleaning the keyboards and displays, etc.? Do you use isopropyl? Yeah, you know
that stuff.
The alcohol with the I in it. The eye alcohol. There you go. Solution with a microfiber cloth or something different. Thanks for the podcast and keep up the good work, Brandon. Thanks for the email, Brandon. And what do you guys use for? Do you guys physically clean computers at all?
I graduated with a kid named Brandon Martin. That's weird.
That's cool.
Am I the only one who thinks a flamethrower is a viable option here?
The only reason I clean computers is if they're in my shop, I'll clean them because they're filthy dirty, and I don't want to have dust all over my shop. I don't clean. I mean, I don't have a need to clean monitors and keyboards because usually the computer's at my shop, not their monitor or keyboard. I mean, if I was going to clean the keyboard, canned air, hold it upside down, and just spray it. But I just I just clean out the. I mean, most keyboards are throwaway items anyway. But yeah, I'm gonna clean I'll blow the computer out because it's got trash in. I don't want all over my bench.
Right. Yeah, I think most of my computers that come in are laptops. I don't get a whole lot of desktops anymore, anyways. But even when I get a desktop, I pull the side cover off. I take my leaf blower, I blow everything out, put it back together. I wipe the outside of the computer down with alcohol, and takes seconds to dry, and then I move on. But laptops are really, I just use the alcohol. I just kind of douse a whole bunch of alcohol in there. One of the things you want to do when you're doing a laptop, though, because these power buttons are sometimes in weird spots, pull the battery out and don't have it plugged into electricity just in case. But I wipe it down really good, getting in the keyboard on the laptop and the monitor and all that kind of stuff, and get it really clean because most laptops are disgusting to say the least.
Yeah, if I get a laptop that comes in, I'm cleaning it. I'm wiping it down.
And then when I'm done wiping it down, then I have a big thing of hand sanitizer and I go and then I rub my hands together.
Your arms, your legs.
Exactly.
I have the Endust for electronics kind of tub that works. That seems to work out pretty well. I just bought it on Amazon, and it's right there. I don't have to worry about alcohol, and it cleans things up quite well.
I used to use those, but they seem to dry out too fast for me. So I use a lot of alcohol. I mean, a lot.
Well,
now what do you use to clean the computers, though?
Yeah, right.
Yeah, so there you go.
I mean, that goes for all of us. No,
well, that's true. Yeah, especially in this business. No, that's funny.
The thing that's important is that the customer doesn't know.
Exactly.
Right. Well, the computer just seems to get cleaner and cleaner and cleaner the more alcohol you use anyway, so...
That's right. Some of them, man, I'm telling you, they got caked on stuff that's so disgusting, it's just like, what in the world do you do on this? I don't want to know.
Right? And then, or you touch the keyboard and you realize that you didn't want to do that. I don't like smokers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Keyboard pads. A lot of times I'll stick a USB keyboard into a notebook so I don't have to use a built-in keyboard.
That's a good idea.
That's a good idea.
That is a good idea. Good.
I'll attach a mouse and a keyboard because I don't want to touch their stuff. It's sometimes looks like it's very suspicious.
Very suspicious.
Oh, very cool. All right, let's move on to this next email. This email is, let's see, this is from Pearly Lewis. It says, hey guys, great show. Just wanted to say, read Profit First. It'll revolutionize the way you do your accounting. Have a profitable business from day one. Change my thinking. It makes you feel better about all your personal sacrifice. Also, the one thing, keep you focused on what matters to your business. Running my own business for 20 years, even though my business isn't tech-related. Still get great business advice from your show. Love your shows and the network. Keep up the great work. I've been building my own computers since 1990. Still laughing about paying $500 each for two 500-megabyte SCSI drives in the early 90s. Tech moves fast. Thanks for keeping us up to date. Pearly, the shirt guy. Thanks, Pearly. Appreciate the email there. Now reading this, Profit First is from Mike McAllowicz, and he does also the Pumpkin Plan. And I do recommend those books as far as it does change your thinking on how to run your business and how to do your finances. Mike's a little rough, but just bear that in mind, and there's still good information in the book. So, and he's a fun guy and everything. He's just, a little rough with the language sometimes. So, I sometimes don't recommend books like that, but he's right. These are good books that will help you in your business. The one thing that sounds familiar, but I would definitely have to look that up because I'm not sure who that actually comes from. Have you guys heard of that?
No.
The book?
No. Okay. The One Thing, the book.
Oh no.
Okay.
I have both the other books. They're sitting quite well, holding up that shelf back there.
No. Very cool.
Maybe that's why I'm not making as much money as I should.
Well, it's just about changing your mindset on how you think about your business. I mean, let's face it. A lot of us are, we're technicians at heart, and we get in the thick of it. But really, when it comes to running business, and I've said this before, and some people probably get mad, but we suck at business pretty much most of the time. So there's always something that can be learned. That's a good thing about it. Let's see. All right, so check those books out, guys, and I will definitely check into the One Thing because that sounds so familiar, but I'm not sure what it is. All right. Now, here's a good question, and Chris and Matt, I hope you'll be able to chime in on this one. This is from Joseph Cater. It says, "Hey Jeff, I was wondering if you could go a bit into detail on all the benefits of attending the CompTIA ChannelCon. I'd love to go, but I have to convey all the benefits to the boss to go. Appreciate the help and everything you do on the show, Joe." Thanks for the email, Joe. And who wants to start? Chris?
Well, there's an open bar.
Oh, stop it! Would you?
It was good
Everybody's
food.
gonna think we're a bunch of lushes.
We're going to drink these computers clean. No, I mean, really, for me, there are great talks to go to. There are seminars that go over a whole bunch of different facets of running an IT company or just being an IT person in general. So if you want to learn more about what's going on in the IT industry and maybe learn a little bit about security or a little bit about managed services or a little bit about sales, there's plenty for you there. There's also vendor booths, right? So you can actually meet some of the vendors face-to-face, actually have a talk with a real person that's standing in front of you. I'll be there. That's a benefit. And just meeting peers, right? Like, in the IT industry, I think that a lot of self-employed computer technicians really devalue social networking within the community itself. So this gives you a great opportunity to actually meet other technicians face-to-face, other business owners face-to-face, exchange cards, and who knows what opportunities that's going to bring for you, either personally in your business or just learning opportunity.
Very good. Yep, I totally agree. Matt, how about you? Because both the reason I asked these guys is because both of them went to ChannelCon last year in Arizona.
Right, and I don't know what to expect. It was my first time going last year, and I was impressed with the speakers, with the range of topics, managed services, cloud services, just sales and marketing techniques. I was impressed with a variety of topics, and they were all good speakers, and I learned a lot, and some things that I didn't even know that I needed or that I should even be exploring. So you get open to new ideas, a new way of doing things. There is good food, good drinks. Good, you meet people. That's a plus. I recommend it for anybody who's looking to grow or expand their business in any way. I mean, if you're fine with how things are running in your business and you don't want to change anything, you don't want to expand into different markets, then you probably don't want to go. But if you're looking to grow or expand your services, it's definitely some place to go.
Yeah, absolutely. And though I haven't been to these particular types of conferences, I've been to conferences in the past, and I can just tell you that you tend to learn a lot from these, and I think it really comes down to it's a learning area. You have, like Chris said, you have the vendors that you can actually talk to face to face, find out about their products that might help you in your business, and it's better sometimes than that email contact. You're going to get to meet and greet people that are doing the same types of things you're doing. You're going to get to meet, guys like Chris and Matt, and I'll be there too. But whatever. I'll definitely shake your hand. And
it's just Jeff.
It's just me. And so, but I'm interested in going there for a couple reasons. I want to, talk to the community. I also want to learn more because I think from these, I'll say this, I think if you want your business to grow, you've got to start making time for things like this. And I'm not saying that you necessarily need to go to this. I just know it's one of the, from talking to a few people in the community, it's one of the better ones that is put on. CompTIA doesn't hold anything back, and they give it 110%, and it's just an awesome time. Yes, is it going to cost you some money? Absolutely, it's going to cost you some money. That money you can write off on your taxes because you own a business. So you just have to look at it like that. And you know what? If you're not making enough money in your business to cover an expense like this, maybe that's something you need to start looking at. Start putting a little bit away from the jobs and things that you're doing, so that you can come to something like this. This is what I've heard from different people in the industry. They said if it costs you $1,000 to go, they fully expect now this is totally up to you, but they fully expect anybody that takes the information, not just takes it, but does something with it and actually uses the information, should easily make another $10,000, no questions asked. And I firmly believe that because that's just how these things work. You get ideas. Let's face it, most of us, we sit behind a computer, we work on things, we travel and talk to customers, and that's all we know. And we kind of get stuck in a rut of doing the same things over and over again. But I think if you want to expand that business, you definitely got to go. And like, I'm interested. There's IT services and support, managed services. There's some, talks on security. There's going to be a lot of great talks that you're going to be able to get some information from and, move your business forward. So that's my 2 cents on that. And Martin, you've been to some different conferences for different things, and what's your take on what you get from those?
Well, most of the conferences I've been to have been Linux based, and
hey, Martin, we don't talk about that on this show.
I'm sorry. So then I have not been into any conferences ever.
I'm just kidding. We use a lot of Linux tools. I love Linux, people. Don't send the hate mail. I'm just kidding.
I'll let Dora know that you love Linux. Anyways, I have not been to any of the CompTIA ones. The Arizona one last year, I just couldn't make it. But so you guys are talking about this, and I was kind of on the fence. But you guys are actually pushing me over the fence to come. We talked before the show about making it a family vacation. My wife already has that time off. So you guys are talking. I'm looking at plane tickets. My sister belongs to the vacation rental places, Windmere and Wyndham Resorts.
Oh, nice, yeah.
And so I just texted her, hey, anything open in Chicago? So the wheels are churning. And I have never met you or Matt or Chris or Lisa or Mike. I haven't met you guys. So I would love to come out and meet you. And actually, while I use Linux in my business, my business does run on Windows. It does. It's just kind of the way it goes. So I need to stop the pendulum swinging on one side of just only going to Linux conferences and actually kind of bring it to center to I can go to some Linux conferences, but I also need to go to some conferences that deal with sales, how to grow my business and how to be more successful and all that. Not just, hey, this is a great way to run Docker and Linux. Well, that's cool and that's fun and stuff like that, but how is that actually making me as a business grow when my clients, I'm not selling Docker to my clients. My clients don't need Docker. But while that's cool and that's informational for me, how can I put that into production? I really can't. So I need to start looking at more conferences that I can actually bring back that are tangible things to make myself and make my business grow.
Very cool. No, man, you put it so eloquently. It's cool and yeah, very cool. All right. So I think with that,
cool
what's that?
I said I like seeing cool toys.
Yes, very much so. All right, so that was it for the emails. So let's move on. Let's see. All right, so today's topic, what does consultants, break fix, and MSP mean to you? And we'll take this individually, but and then what do these terms mean to you, and what do you consider yourself? So who wants to go first? Who wants to be in the hot seat?
I'll go first.
I volunteer, Jeff.
Oh yeah, there you go. Okay, Jeff.
I'm the host. I go last.
Oh.
All right. All right. So I kind of cover all of that. I'm actually moving. Well, I've never been a break fix shop. That's never. I do break fix, but that's not my sales. That's not where I get a lot of my business from. I will do more managed services, more on-site support. So, well, let me. I'm moving more into managed services because managed services to me is more of reselling services, watching stuff that's going on, monitoring software and applications kind of remotely, and using a lot of tools to help do that, as opposed to always being on site at a location, hands-on. And so while I'm more in the hands-on network and system administration side, that break fix comes to just be a part of that. There's nothing I can do about it. But now I'm being able to move my clients into a more managed services because I already have the foundation laid. Now I can take managed services, lay it on top of it as a recurring income to do things, sell them managed antivirus, monitoring software, spam software, kind of the foundation of, like I said, of network and system administration is laid and group policy is done and that hard work has already been done. Now I can just maintain it with managed service applications.
Oh, very good explanation. I like that. All right, who's next?
Well, managed services, so that can mean a lot of different things. You take a service and you say, I'm going to sell this as a managed service, take email. We're going to move it to a managed service for email. Well, what does that mean? Does that mean, because the client thinks of that differently as we might think of it. So you have to tell them, okay, I'm going to host all your mail, and anything email related we're going to cover for this price. This price covers email. You have any problem with email, you set it up on your computer, set it up on your phone, you're not getting your mail, all that's going to be covered, here's the price, right? And that's what we think of it.
Right.
So, but there can be different levels of that. It could be, I'm going to host the mail, but any support is going to be outside of that. I mean, there's all different layers. And break fix, look, we're a decent sized shop. There's probably 8 techs, including the partners. Most of our work is break fix. Mm-hmm. That's just the typical person, and especially accountants when they run the numbers. They say, no, I'm just going to call it as a problem. So there's nothing wrong with break fix. The trick is to teach them how it's better for them to do a managed service. Why is it me paying you monthly to watch my backup better than me just getting alerts on my backup software? I see a lot of people bashing break fix, but it's when you get a new customer, I'm not a fan of somebody immediately trying to push them to a managed agreement because they want to feel you out. They want to know how you do work, how you do service, get a feel for each other, and they want to know you're responsible and that you can take care of them. And I'm sure people think differently, but I don't walk into a client's office and say, okay, for me to do work, here's an agreement. This monthly price covers everything. I think that's wrong.
Okay.
I'm all for managed services. We guide our clients there, but it needs to be mutually beneficial for both parties. And I know a lot of techs just try and push it. This is what I'm not going to support you unless you sign up for my managed services. I think that's wrong too.
Okay.
And most of our work is break fix, but we push break fix. We tell them the benefits of managed services, priority response, monitoring, proactive stuff. Break fix says you call us, we'll get to you when we can. Best effort.
Right.
So I mean, I hate to discount one over the other because they're both ways to make money for people.
Absolutely.
Well, I guess put that way, then I do handle more break fix because I do have clients who things break. But what I was saying was I don't actually have a physical shop. The room I'm sitting in is my office. I work out of my home. I travel to clients' places, so I don't have a storefront where people can just say, "Hey, I'm infected. Here you go." I do have people that bring me their computers, so I pick them up. But usually they're, like today I'm picking up a computer tonight because her personal computer, she works for a company that I support. So there's a connection there. I don't get very many cold calls of people just calling me up saying, I have a virus or something like that.
Right.
And that's my difference between my version of what would be break fix is actually a storefront to take something to.
And let me say this: there are no wrong answers here, and the reason I brought this topic up is because I keep hearing this from people in the industry, and so I want to bring this out, and I want to talk about it, and I want to kind of see where everybody's mindset is at, and I want to help people to realize, what they actually do in their business, and instead of putting terms on it, we're going to go, here's what you do, and here's what you do during this time, here's what you do during this time, and that's how it works. So, because, I agree with you, Matt. A lot of people, there is a bad thing about, break fix is bad, and I'm like going, really? I believe like you. No, break fix is not bad. It's part of everybody's business. I think a lot of people just don't realize it. So,
and some people say they're doing managed service for people, and I say, well, what exactly are you doing? Tell me about your managed services. And they say, well, they buy 10 hours a month, and we do their work. Well, that's
just break fix with a prepaid ticket.
Right. That's break fix. That's not managed. Right. Managed would be, okay, you have 10 computers in one server, 4 printers, and a router. Here's my price per device per month to take care of whatever comes up with those devices. So if you say $500 a month for the server, $150 for the router, now you're managing those devices. Doesn't matter what's wrong with them, you take care of it, you manage it.
Right.
Yes.
That's a monthly recurring revenue they get even if they have no problems. That's managed. Break fix is 10 hours prepaid ticket of break fix time.
Right.
Yep.
No, this is a great panel. I know with the three of you right now, this is a great subject to bring up because you guys are bringing up all the points that I've been thinking about over the last week and a half. When people are bringing these things up to me, so this is great.
Yeah, so there's definitely no this is all break fix, stop. This is all managed services, stop. It's definitely gray, and there's a lot of overlapping. It's that nice Venn diagram because they all overlap at some point. I have a little bit of both. I have clients who this is what it's going to cost me to cover everything if it breaks. Excellent, but this is the cost. And then I have, clients, this is the contract for this much money per month, and I'll handle everything. Some of it is not, most of it's not prepaid. But then I have people who are just like, hey, this is broken because they don't want to buy that contract from me. They want me on an hourly basis only when things break.
Sure.
Well, the thing to realize too is that, yes, everything does overlap, but for what was being brought up before by Matt is that people are slamming down break fix and saying break fix is horrible, break fix is horrible. I think that the message is not being conveyed, or either that or the people yelling about break fix aren't paying attention to what they're saying. Because break fix is very important in every company. I firmly believe that break fix should not be the only thing that you do. Because I think that is where you start running into problems. That is where the well starts drying up.
Right.
Definitely. Some clients only want it, but it's nice to offer that to the client, saying, look, we can be more proactive. We can monitor your systems. We can have it to where you can have a fixed monthly budget for your IT needs.
Yeah. Not to say that you're not going to have individual clients that are just break fix, but as a company as a whole, as an IT company, you shouldn't be just break fix.
Right. And even in one way I hate to structure managed agreements is here's a price for us to take care of everything. Even that has things that are outside of that agreement for us.
Right. Yeah.
Project work is outside. If you buy a computer from us, one computer install is included. What that prevents is Bob buys a new computer, we install it for him, but then he takes his computer, gives it to Mary. Mary gives hers, and you get the whole computer hand-me-down thing, where instead of installing one computer, you're installing 5 computers. So the first one, if they buy from us, would be included. The next 4 hand-me-downs are outside the agreement and billed hourly.
Good point.
That makes sense.
Yep.
So what do you do then? What would be your recommendation for clients who and I say this because I'm actually fighting this, not really battle, but I'm in this boat of I have a client. I have a lot of my clients say, yes, we want X amount of dollars per month. You're going to handle everything. Done. Then I have a client who says, no, I don't want that. I want you to bill me every month. Because the cost is to them is so expensive that they would rather pay at every time something breaks. Now, the benefit of that is that it's a charge every time. as opposed to just a set fix. But is that something you would want to stay with then, or is that going to just be to the point where you're just kind of always feel like you're chasing your tail?
Well, some clients are going to be smaller. They're not going to justify a higher monthly IT budget. So you can look, if you've been doing work for them for a while, you can go back and pull your records. How much do they pay me on average per month for the past year? If it's $100, there's no reason their IT needs aren't that great. But if you can show them, look, you've actually spent with me for labor, $800, $1,000 a month. If you could form an agreement that's beneficial for them, that still gives you enough money for their work, then why wouldn't they do it? Because especially it might include proactive monitoring. It may include the antivirus license if you structure it with the antivirus license in it, priority support, that kind of thing.
Right. Yeah, you got to watch there too. There are a lot of companies that they want to move to just managed services, or they want to move to just, and they're trying to get away from break fix. But I mean, those clients, the ones that spend $100 here, $100 there, I mean, those add up, right? So you don't necessarily want to lose those, but you don't necessarily want to deal with the administrative work of invoicing and then taking payments and chasing payments and doing all of that. So those are good candidates for prepaid tickets, right? Where, hey, listen, look, you've done work with us and you've spent about $100 a month. If you prepay $400, we'll give you this much of a credit for prepaying. Thank you very much. Or even just not do that and say, look, I'm not invoicing anymore, so if you want to continue working with us, we just have to take a prepayment. And when you run out, then we'll ask for more money.
Right.
Right. Hey, and people really tend to just be okay with that.
Right. Hey, Chris, do me a favor. And how would you define these terms in your head? How do you look at these terms for people's businesses out there? Because obviously everybody knows you're a white label service, so you deal with a lot of different companies out that are working in doing break fix and managed services and all this stuff, and you support a lot of that. So how do you define these terms for yourself?
Sure. Well, I don't think that the terms pertain to the company or the individual. I feel that the terms pertain to the services that are being presented.
Excellent.
Right. So thank you. So like if you're talking to somebody and so they're an MSP. Well, they're not an MSP. The monitoring services that they are providing makes that product an MSP product. And if I'm pulling a laptop apart and replacing a hard drive, I'm doing a break fix job. So right now I'm break fix. Right? So they're really, you can't define an entire company with one of those labels, because unless they're just break fix, they're never going to fit one of those labels. It's per service.
And how could somebody be, because I hear this term a lot of times, how could somebody be a break fix only company?
That is a very good question, Jeff, because I don't know how anybody could keep afloat that way.
But I mean, so coming from that standpoint, what would that mean to you in layman's terms? How is somebody a break fix only company? What do they do to for their business?
They're per incident only.
Okay.
Right. So now that doesn't mean that you wouldn't be selling RAM or mice or selling antivirus, right? But if you're a break fix only, you're not selling managed antivirus that you're going to get recurring income from. You're selling Norton or McAfee or whatever, right? So you're taking a job, the computer's coming in, you're quoting that job, or you go on site and you quote that job. Job's done, you get paid, you go back to the office or go back home, and then that's it. There's no follow-up, there's no monitoring, there's no recurring billing, there's just, I did the job and I got the money. To me, that's break fix.
Right, and we have plenty of clients still with servers and networks that are break fix only. They don't want to have a service agreement of any kind. So basically, when we do work for them, we just invoice them.
Yep.
Now, Matt, in your case, do most of those people pay more than if they did have a managed service through you?
Yes, they do.
Okay. And they're fine with that, because it comes back to, and people got to realize this too. Sometimes, we look at the customer and we go, man, why do you want to? I can save you money. Why wouldn't you want to do that? Listen, we live in the, US of A, I was going to say, except for Chris. But anyway, so we have this, monthly payment mentality. So it is much easier for us to make a $500 a month car payment than it is to shell out $25,000 for a car. And so with that being said, you got to understand where people's mindsets are in their business. but you don't want to throw away and go, I'm not going to do break fix anymore, because in my opinion, I think a lot of stuff we do is still, like Martin was saying earlier, it's still break fix.
Yeah.
Something breaks, I got to go in and fix it. Even if I'm managing it, I'm still fixing it when it's breaking, right? So, but to have that residual income or recurring revenue, I'll use fancy terms.
Thank you.
You want that money to come in when you're not having to work. So I think you need a lot. I think you need some of that to balance your business out, so that you're not, like Martin said earlier too, not chasing your tail and only doing break fix.
Yeah.
And so, and you could, a lot of people go, okay, managed services. They look at things like GFI or whatever. I'm gonna monitor your computer, and some people are like, how do I get this to work? But even think simple things. How about and a lot of people say they don't agree with this, but how about a yearly antivirus subscription? A yearly antivirus subscription with the Internet Security Suite, which is really what you need nowadays in order to keep even remotely safe on a Windows machine. So that can bring in a little bit of revenue. Okay, your offline backup, that can bring in some more revenue. Your cloud backup. All these different things can bring a little bit of money in, but you've set them up one time and they just come in year after year or month after month. And that's kind of the point you want to get to. So I still think everybody's still always going to be doing break fix. I don't care what anybody says. We're going to be doing break fix because things break, we go and fix them regardless of how it's paid for.
And what I think that a lot of people that are saying, I'm not doing break fix anymore, that's it. What I think they need to do is take a step back and ask themselves, like, why don't you want to do break fix anymore? Because the answer is never because I shouldn't say never. The answer is very rarely because I don't want to do that work. If you didn't want to do that work, you wouldn't be in IT in the first place for the most part.
Right.
Okay. So what's the real reason? Is it because people aren't paying their bills? Well, prepaid tickets are a perfect way to deal with that problem. Because if they've already paid, you don't have to get a payment from them after. So it's done. Is the problem that, I have too much work coming in? Well, that's not really a problem. You just have to fix it, right? Hire somebody or whatever. Is the problem that you're having a hard time keeping track of all of the repairs that are coming in? Well, then you really shouldn't be doing managed services anyway, because if you don't have a ticketing system to track that stuff with, so fix the process. Don't get rid of an entire facet of the IT world because it's a headache. Just take some Tylenol, figure something out, and make a process.
Or Prozac.
Or Prozac.
No, this is a great conversation. Let me, in one of the things I want to talk about, a lot of people call themselves consultants. And what is a consultant? And there's different types of consultants, and I think we all can agree upon it. There are consultants, and I talked to one a while back on Podnutz Daily, Nightwise over at nightwise.com. He is a consultant. In other words, what he does, he doesn't really touch the machines. He goes in and he goes, what do you need? And they let him know all the things that they need. He sets, he writes everything down, presents it to them, helps them hire the IT staff to support it, but he doesn't actually do the work. He gets paid to consult on the job and just do the setup. That is what I consider a consultant. A consultant, yes, we are all consultants. A consultant is not just a person that I'm in IT consulting. Well, you're in IT consulting, but when you're removing a virus, you're in break fix. Or when you're setting up a GFI, you're in a managed service. So sometimes we knock around these terms loosely, and the definition of a consultant is a person who gives professional or expert advice. And anytime we're talking to our customers and we're saying, hey, you know what? Here's really are these pictures important to you? Yes, they are. Okay, here's why we need to set up a backup solution, so that if something happens to this computer, you don't lose all these pictures. And it could be something as simple if they have an iPhone or an Android phone, you could set it up for them so that their pictures are backed up automatically to iCloud, to Google Plus, or whatever. There's different ways to do it. But we are consulting people in a professional and expert manner because they don't really know until we tell them. So that's what a consultant means. And let me read from the Wikipedia break fix, because I think this breaks it down really good. It says the term break fix refers to the fee-for-service method of providing information technology repairs to businesses in which a customer calls up a service provider to do an upgrade of a computer program, software product, computer, or repair of something computer-related, like a printer or drive array that is broken. The IT provider offers a solution or repair and bills the customer for the work done. The alternative to break fix is managed services, which is basically a service plan where the customer pays a regular fixed amount for all general maintenance and only pays for extraordinary or extreme repairs or unusual conditions. The equivalent practice in the consumer market is that out of warranty appliances, where the customer can pay for repairs as needed, or they can buy an extended warranty. And this is from Wikipedia, and I thought that was really good. That a nice simple breakdown of what these terms mean. None are bad. None, I think these three terms, consultant, break fix, and MSP, are all in the same, are in everybody's business pretty much.
Yeah, the work is the same.
Yes.
How you bill for it is really what it is. Break fix or managed service.
Yeah.
The work is the same.
And if you're on the job and somebody brings you in to fix a problem, then you're consulting with the goal of becoming, in the same talk, you go from being a consultant to being a salesman.
Yes. And so, that's a great point, Martin, because a lot of people will sit there and go, I can't sell. You tell people what they need because you want to help them with whatever. And so because you do that, you are selling, but like Matt said, it's mutually beneficial. You're protecting them. They're paying you for that protection. And I know it sounds like the mafia. That's not what I'm talking about.
You're such a shame if something were to happen to your computer.
Exactly. What happens in Chicago stays in Chicago.
That's right.
And there's actually, I come to you, there's actually an interesting talk that I've already seen that I want to go to, and it's what, I think it's called something like, what end users really think of managed services.
Oh, that would be really interesting to have a conversation
really end user, because people are pushing managed services, but what I find a lot of time is they're not passing on to them why it's good for them. Yes, it's good for us because we get paid monthly and we get this. Why is it good for them? And that's what really needs to be told to the customer.
And I'll tell you what, if you guys want to see what types of talks, they're already up. They already have the schedules up for most things. If after you sign up for a free ticket by using the link in the show notes for this show or the previous 2 weeks' shows, underneath there's a little hyperlink for details, and that will take you to comptia.org/ChannelCon. And you can look at the different days on Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, the different talks that are going to be available, and kind of start figuring out what it is you want to see. Because, Matt, I didn't even know that what you were talking about was actually there, so I'm interested in something like that too. What is the customer perception? Because I've said this for the last couple of weeks, but when my computer blew up and my drive died and it hosed my operating system, I have no idea how, and I'm without my main computer, even though I have 10 other machines in this house, it really shouldn't matter. It mattered. Because I spent my focus, time, and energy on fixing that, and so I was like, I had a little revelation where I go, I kind of understand how the customer feels when they don't have their computer for 3 or 4 days.
Yeah, but then you try and sell them, a company with 30 users, and you say, why don't we have one extra computer so when somebody's down, they can use the spare. They don't want to have, heaven forbid, to have a spare computer. But the first thing they ask is, do you have a spare computer? Yeah, I got one for sale. You want to buy it?
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, well, I don't want it if I have to spend money on it.
Oh. Wow.
Yeah, and really, and you're absolutely right. I mean, you need to have this conversation with these people and say, listen, this is why, with anything IT related, this is why you need to spend this money, or this is why you should really use the software, or this is why we should have this backup. We've been saying this since show one, and we're going to continue saying this until one day it changes, which I don't think will be in our lifetime, where IT expenses, right there, IT expenses, and that's the way that everybody looks at it. It's an expense. It's us spending money. It's never an investment. And the clients that you find where you sit down and they either say, okay, so how much money are we going to need to invest in making this work, or the ones who don't want a price. They just want you to go do it, and here's my credit card number, whatever. Right? Those are the clients that generally get it, and you don't get those very often. So
Right.
keep an eye out.
Yeah, this will date me, but most of the young people won't understand this, Chris. But Fram oil filter. They used to have a commercial years ago. The whole commercial was "Pay me now or pay me later, but you will pay." And so, basically, you need to, change your oil and change that filter in order to keep your car running the way it should be running all the time. If you decide not to, and that car breaks down on you when you're traveling down to Florida, when you're halfway, hundreds of miles from home, and you're kind of in a little spot. So at some point, and a lot of people will equate and say, well, yeah, but that's a car. That's not a computer. But come on, people. I know there's people out there that if they're not on Facebook or Instagram daily, they get the shakes. And, so they got to have their fix. Or playing solitaire or whatever else.
I know I need my Instagram fix every day.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a whole nother subject. I know how popular that is. I keep looking at it and going, yeah, maybe I'll get on Instagram. And then I'm like, no, I'm not getting on Instagram. Are you kidding me? Anyways.
Must be a USA thing.
Yeah, I guess. I don't know. Anyways, all right. Does anybody else have anything to add on this subject? Have we kind of covered it all? I think you guys have, you played right into my hands, and I definitely appreciate it. We did not set this up beforehand. You guys came out with all the great information that I knew you would, and kind of to break these things down and say, listen, these are not derogatory terms. We're not saying if you're break fix, you're dirty. We're not saying that.
Get your dirty break fix hands off of me.
Oh my gosh.
That would explain the external keyboard and mouse.
Yes.
Oh my gosh. Anyways, all right. So I think with that, I think we've had a good full show here, and a lot of good information was passed around, and we answered a lot of questions, and yeah, definitely. Hope you guys got something out of this. I know I did, just from listening to how everybody talks about these different terms, and it's exciting to me. And definitely, check out ChannelCon, August 3rd through the 5th. Well, actually, I should say August 2nd through the 5th, because if you want to be part of the Podcasters Tech Nibble meetup, then that is Sunday evening, 5 to 7. And
Don't miss it.
Yeah, and if you're planning on going, go ahead. We're going to have a sign-up page on Lisa's site once that gets going. But if you're going, go ahead and some people have already done this. Send me an email. Say, hey, I'm planning on going, so I can make sure to know who's going to be there and just make sure I get a chance to meet and greet everybody. So
keep in mind too, anybody who's going to the CompTIA event, for those who are worried about getting hotel rooms and all of that, there is a group rate at the hotel, so you do get a discount off of the hotel room.
Yeah.
Just putting that out there.
Yep. No, it's a good point. And then, a lot of times, too, people have also said that, it's too expensive, I can't afford it. And, Martin, I think you came up with a great idea. You can probably get a discount at another hotel or something like that, make it a little bit cheaper. Or there's, things like Airbnb, where you can basically rent a place. And a lot of times, what I've heard from people is that, especially if you do a group of people, you can rent a house for a lot cheaper than even getting a hotel room. And so you can kind of do a group thing. And, all travel down together. I'm going to try to bring as many people from Michigan as I can. Right now I've got one other one coming, but I'm going to talk to a couple others, and hopefully we can get kind of like a caravan going down there. So that'll be fun. With Chris and the
There's a park across the street. You can sleep in the park.
There you go.
There you go.
Bring some tents.
There
you go.
Done.
Fit right at home. I'll make sure to wear my socks and Birkenstocks.
Oh, gosh.
Bring my kilt and my unicycle and my bagpipes.
What's wrong with kilts? There's nothing wrong with kilts.
Was it knocking on kilts? It was more the bagpipes.
Okay.
Anyways, all right, guys. I think we've had a great show. Martin, if people want to find you, what's the best place so that they can do that?
All right, they can reach me at martin@obandocomputing.com, or they can just check out Geeksters on the Podnutz network. You'll see me there. If you follow me, my Google Plus Hangout is Obando. That's my Google Plus name. We usually post. I try to post ahead of time when we're going to be Geeksters. Usually it's the day of, and the reason is because we usually don't have a set time. All of us work in this industry, and some things come up, and we have to kind of shift the days around. But if you follow me on Google Plus, I will post when the next Geeksters show comes up.
Very cool. And Matt, if people want to find you, where can they find you at?
Best place right now is informedit.net. Email info@informedit.net.
Great. Yeah, and definitely, Matt produced a product of basically being able to. Well, Matt, go ahead and explain what the product is.
Well, it's a way for techs to document their clients' information. So you go to a client's network and you need to document all the things like when does their domain name expire, who manages their DNS, what is their router settings, just a way to document everything. So if you took these forms and filled them out per client, you'd pretty much know everything there was to know about that client. So it's easier to support them when you have all the information.
You bring up an interesting point, because here's how it's done most of the time. So this hair salon I was in, they wanted me to talk to the makers of their software, and so they wanted me to get in the online chat, and I asked the lady there, I go, do you know what your queue number is? She's like, no. I'm like, well, how do you talk to them? But she said, well, sometimes I just call them up, and but they haven't really been able to help with anything. So I'm like, okay. So if you have Matt's information and you're doing IT correctly, you will document all that stuff. And don't worry about, what, you can, save a copy so you've got a copy for yourself. You can leave a copy with the customer so that, if there ever comes a point where they don't like you and they want to move on, let them. But that would make my life easier. So when I'm coming in, no, I'm just kidding.
That's right.
Take care of that.
Give Jeff all your documentation.
And they're all PDF fillable forms. If you want to go check out a free form, go to informedit.net, and on the page where I think it says Get the Forms, there's a link to a free form, the router form. So you can download that and see what they kind of look like. All the forms are similar, just what information you're filling out. There's line of business form for each important application. You can go see the different forms on the site, but check out the free form if you want to see what they're like. And if you want to buy it, you can use the promo code Podnutz for 25% off.
Oh, great. Thank you. Yeah, definitely. We'll have a link to that in the show notes. And, definitely check that out. And the router form, everybody can use, because how many times, again, are you setting up a customer's router, and for whatever reason, the last person that set them up, usually their ISP, does not put any information down. What's your password? I don't know. How do you get it? I don't know. And so, what we have to do when we come into those situations is hard reset the router and move on from there. So.
Or worse, you were the one who set it up with your company, and you don't know how to get into it. That makes you look pretty bad.
That's true. Good
Especially
point.
if the password that you forgot was the one for, say, the Buffalo Nass.
Yeah, so it makes you look pretty bad when you can't remember how to get into things you set up.
And don't be like everybody else who tries to use the same password for all your customers. That's just not good.
Well, I was going to say I just make sure everything's password. Done.
Yeah. See, problem solved.
I won't.
You know how fast I can fill out those forms?
Exactly.
Control V. That's it.
No, you just copy the whole form, right-click, rename, and put in the new company name.
There it is. So Matt Rainey has saved me so much time between that and my lack of passwords. Done.
So do it right and get that information, and it's a great deal, and you'll use some of those things in your business, absolutely. So it's a great way to document what you're doing with your customers. And Chris, if you want to tell people how can they get in touch with you and kind of what you're doing.
Sure. So my name is Chris Carruthers. I own Remote Support Tech Team. We are a white label IT company, so we take care of your customers for you under your brand name. You can either email us at info@rstechteam.com. You can go on our website, www.rstechteam.com, or you can call us at 866-568-2813.
Very cool. And I want to thank you guys, all of you, for coming on the show today. Definitely appreciate it. Definitely appreciate you taking the time. All right, we do the Podnutz, the computer repair podcast, every Sunday at 4 p.m. Eastern over at podnutz.com/live. We would love it if you guys would watch and join in on the conversation by hanging out in the chat room or calling in live. We have on-demand audio and video always available after the fact over at podnutz.com and my YouTube channel, Podnutz Live Show for Computer Repair Techs. You can find me on Google Plus at Jeffery Halash or Twitter at TechNutPC. And if you're a computer repair tech and would like to be a guest on Podnutz Daily, where you can talk about what you do in your business, please email me at podnutzdaily@podnutz.com. You guys can also email questions and feedbacks for this show using podnutz@podnutz.com. You guys can leave a voicemail at 1-888 888-697-0162. If you guys could do us a favor, leave us a rating and review over on iTunes. That'll help more people know about us. This one is by Prodigy Techs, our good friend Paco LeBron. It doesn't get any better than this. As a computer technician trying to figure out how to grow and expand my business, this podcast is an absolute must to hear. Not only does Jeff provide great points, knowledge, and process that has helped his business, but having the additional techs on the show brings a great diversity and flavor of experience in one place. If you just found this podcast, you'll need to listen to all the past content, as it will elevate your business to a new level, guarantee it. Thank you, Paco. Appreciate that. And no, I did not write that for him. That is quite honestly how he feels. And he's only been with the community a short time, but he's jumped in with both feet, and he said it has definitely propelled his business. So appreciate that. You guys can help support the Podnutz Network. The next time you're shopping at Amazon, go to podnutz.com/Amazon. And I want to thank everyone for listening and subscribing to the show. We'll see you next time on Podnutz, the Computer Repair Podcast. All right. Excellent show, gentlemen.
So the gentleman from Garberville, you sent me his email?
Yes, was that the right one?
Yes. So Garberville is about 2 hours south of where I used to live.
Oh, okay. Okay, cool. Very cool. Hey, just so you guys know, we're still on air, so this is like the after show.
What was that, Chris?
Kind of.
I was just asking if this was the same person you guys were talking about before that you might have gone to school with.
No, I don't know if the other person. I doubt the other person, the Brandon Martin. The only reason it struck me is because, like I said, Brandon Martin. I had a teacher who kept calling me Brandon because my name is Martin, but he is a chef, so I don't think he did any computer stuff. I don't know. He didn't mention where he was. But this gentleman called. It was like 6 episodes ago. He said Northern California. He said very Northern California.
Okay.
And so that's what kind of perked up my ears, because people will say, Northern California meaning San Francisco, but where I grew up was another 8 hours by car in Northern California.
Well, and that's it. So basically, when I went to look for that email, I basically went in, and then I had to do a Google Maps once I found his website to see where it was, and it was Northern California. So I said, all right, this must be the guy.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yep. Keep going north. I was about 20 minutes south of the Oregon border. That's where.
Okay. So, all right. Cool.
So that's where I was from.
Way up at the top there. Very
Way
cool.
up top. That's where Pelican Bay State Prison is, actually, in the town that I grew up in.
Oh.
There you go.
That's the largest. That's the worst of the worst California state prison. That's where if you start doing murders inside a prison, they send you up there. Manson was there for a while, and some other people.
Wow.
I worked there for about 9 months. It was interesting.
Did you really?
Yeah. It was. That's a whole new world.
What did you do? Were you security?
No, I wasn't. What they do is, at the time, there was a company. There was called Prison Industries Authority. It's called PIA. The glass is the optical lab for all Medicare and Medi-Cal patients. The inmates actually created the lenses. So they got the bulk, the slates, and they carved them out and did everything. But the inmates couldn't make any phone calls out, of course. So my job was, whenever there was any issues throughout the state of California, I would call the doctors and confirm, writings, or make sure that everything was done correctly, or if there was any problems. So the inmates would give me the information. I would then call out, and then take the information and then put it back in the line wherever it went to in the facility. But I worked with 40 level 4 inmates. So these are people who, a lot of these guys weren't going anywhere. They were there for life, and it's just completely a different world. I mean, just you walk into work and the rules are different, the things are different. One guy was just a jerk all the time not to me, never to me, because that's a whole different story. You don't be, but internally within the inmates. And he came back one day after lunch, and he had fallen down the stairs. And he wasn't mouthing. He wasn't as mouthy. Yeah.
Wow.
So, yeah. And everybody just goes, "What happened?" I tripped down the 2 steps into the storage room.
Wow.
Yeah, that would definitely be an experience. Not one that I think I would want any part of.
Yeah, it was 9 months, and it was right during the OJ trial, because I remember all work had stopped and we were watching the TV for the OJ trial. But yeah, that's interesting.
So has anybody else here done any jail time?
No.
I went home every night.
So did they. They call it home too.
Well, okay. Okay, I went. Never mind. I'm.
Oh my gosh! Wow.
Somebody get Martin a day pass.
Have you guys ever been to jail? No.
Tour jail, like on a field trip.
Oh, okay.
Oh, so that's just as close as mine. Come on.
Scared straight.
Scared straight.
that
That's right. Wow.
I've never been a resident of a jail.
Yeah, I went one time. That was enough for me. So.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I cannot. I cannot confirm or deny that I've ever been to jail.
Okay, there you go. We're still broadcasting, aren't we?
Yes, we are.
Yeah.
Hey, you know what? If you want your computer to run right, we got people. We know people.
That's right. Hey, if you guys, this is actually a technical note, but a lot of people have been talking about. It seems like a lot of people are getting a lot more these scammers, in actually recording the calls and different things, which I found interesting.
Yeah. There was a person on Imgur that my wife wound up showing this to me, and he wrote out an entire explanation of what they do because he's an IT person, and he just got a guy on the right day that called in from Microsoft, and rather than just yelling at the guy for a whole bunch about how dare you call me, he asked well, what do you get out of this? What do you make? And they went through an entire explanation of how the numbers are picked up from the number lists, how they handle the people who don't answer, how they handle the people who hang up, how much money the actual person on the phone is making from the scam. And the guy that they were talking to was going to school for his MCSE, but couldn't afford to feed his family. And so he had to do something, and this was the only job that he could get because he wasn't done school yet.
So he probably got fired after this phone call.
I would assume so.
Yeah.
All that.
Talk about extortion. That's terrible.
They called my house once, but I wasn't home. My wife answered, and she just said, "Whatever. My husband's a computer guy." She hung up on him.
Every time they call me, I'm in the car, and I'm never home. I'm like, oh, come on. I'm like, can you call me back in like 20 minutes when I'm at home in front of my Linux box? Just so I can be that person to go, start menu? What? I'm pushing it, but it's not, that kind of thing.
Yeah, sure.
I got a new solitaire game going. Should I draw two or just should I redeal? I don't understand.
Exactly.
It's when I double click on the ace, that's when you get in, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
I don't know who it was, but the other day I had somebody say that to me. Somebody that I've worked on their computer, they've used their computer all the time. They're like, I'm only online when I double click on the E. I'm like, wait, no, never mind. I'm just gonna walk away.
Oh God. Okay, so I wound up. My grandmother called me because my brother got onto her laptop and fixed it.
Uh-oh.
And by fixed it, he uninstalled everything that he thought shouldn't have been there, which would include the antivirus. Yeah. So, and she calls me up and she says, I'm getting this pop-up and it's it's telling me that I have to click on something, and you told me never to click on anything that flashes. And I said, no, I very much told you not to click on anything that flashes. I can't connect to your computer. You're not in the dashboard. And this was GFI. I wound up spending 15 minutes walking my grandmother through downloading Instant House Call. And it was the most... I was very frustrated because if it was anybody else, I think I could have sounded a lot more forceful when I said, no, this is how you have to do it. But it's my grandmother, man. So I had to tiptoe.
Grandma, we still love you. We still love you. It's cool.
We do. She's not listening to this.
You never know. You never know.
What's iTunes? But it was like...
No, your brother set it up for her. She's listening.
Oh, man. I went up and I called him and I stripped him one. I said, what were you doing on there? He said, well, I was trying to fix the desktop. Well, what's wrong with the desktop? Oh, the power button came off. What have you guys been doing to these computers? That the power button came off. Well, I took the front faceplate off because, there was something going on with the CD tray. And
so what did they have to do with uninstalling the software, though?
It didn't. Afterwards, he went on the laptop, and she's like, oh, yeah, it's been running kind of slow. I was going to call Chris, but I decided to wait until the weekend. He's like, oh, no, I got it.
Oh,
Well, if you remove antivirus, your cup holder works much more efficiently.
It does, and it can handle the big gulp,
Oh, awesome.
right?
I don't know if those CD trays can actually hold a big gulp anymore. They're not. They're kind of flimsy nowadays.
No, they very much couldn't.
Okay.
Also, just in case anybody wasn't aware, HP's warranty will not cover a slice of bologna in the CD tray.
What about salami?
No.
Pepper jack. Like, what about I got
Any cured meat at all?
well, what about the one with the peppers in it?
Peppercorn?
No, the pimento loaf.
Oh,
You know what? Maybe I'll check.
Come up, say, it wasn't bologna, it's pimento loaf. And?
Oh, well, gee, hold on. Let me check the exclusion lists. Oh, there it is right there. Oh, geez. Wait, hold on. Who put it in there? Were they under 6?
That's right.
Please tell me they were under 6.
Smoked Gouda or jack cheese?
do they actually have that in the agreement?
Well, no. It's misuse and abuse. It's not specifically listed that you can't put a piece of bologna in your CD tray, which was the argument that the customer was trying to use.
Right. I mean, I wouldn't put it past them. You know, somebody in the legal department would go, yeah, we need to make all these exclusions, so let's just list these things out.
Every type of food, everything that should not go into a CD tray except for a CD or DVD.
There you
would
go.
wind up cutting down an entire tree so that you could print off one copy of that if you put everything in there. But no, like the misuse and abuse, I think, is clear enough, and it says if you use this in any way that is not designed to be used,
Right.
and it fails, tough.
Right. I mean, but that, you know, unfortunately, I mean, whoever the small child that put that piece of bologna in there or whatever, usually.
It may not have been a small child.
Well, okay. Or a grown man.
In this case, it's supposed to have been, but you know, maybe you just wanted some warm bologna. This bologna's too cold for my sandwich.
You know, they could say, I must have misunderstood. Where is it written, what is this designed to do? You say it's anything not designed, but where is that listed at? Where can I read what it's designed to do and what it's not designed to do?
Yeah, it moves, it's round, it fits a slice of bologna, it's a bologna toaster.
It very clearly is a bologna toaster, and if I pull out my VCR, I could probably make myself a PB&J sandwich.
You can't. I tried.
Wait. You don't have a VCR.
Oh, wait. Is it Betamax or is it VCR?
No, VCR. And
Betamax you can.
It's in storage somewhere. And with Betamax you can. I'm gonna go on eBay. I'm gonna go on eBay. You know what I want? What was the there was a show way back, and
Matlock, Magnum
yes, that was the one.
Was it really Matlock?
And it was a kid show. It was a kid show.
That
And
wasn't a kid show.
The Muppet security guard would ask the computer to make him a sandwich, and a sandwich would be sent out in a little conveyor belt.
Oh, I think that was Muppets from Space.
No, it was a TV show. You're now you're going movies. It's the wrong way.
Oh man! Wow. Well, I think we're getting close to 5:30 here. I think we're gonna go ahead and stop the broadcast, and you guys can hang out here. And appreciate everybody coming out. And we will see you next Sunday at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Have a great week, everyone.